Welcome to Part 4 of Dependent Adult Abuse for Mandatory Reporters. This section of the course will cover resources and summary. Let's get started. Part 8, Final Notes. It is no surprise that more than 90% of older Iowans say they would prefer to stay in their own home as they age, rather than moving into a healthcare environment of some sort. But to successfully age in place, individuals and their loved ones must plan ahead and identify the home and community-based services and supports they will need to live safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of their age, income, or ability level. To help older Iowans, adults with disabilities, veterans, and caregivers learn more about long-term living services and supports available throughout the state, the department developed Lifelong Links to serve as Iowa's Aging and Disability Resource Center. The goals of the program are to raise public awareness about the full range of long-term living options available in Iowa, provide objective information, advice, counseling, and assistance, equip Iowans with the tools and resources they need to make informed decisions about aging in place, and connect Iowans to public and private service providers and programs at the local level. Lifelong Links is currently accessible online, through the call center, and at physical locations across Iowa, including the 6 area agencies on aging. Once a consumer reaches out to Lifelong Links, he or she has access to information and assistance, information about local services and resources, assistance in identifying service needs, referrals to local service providers. Lifelong Links, a person also has access to options counseling, information about the choices available when planning for long-term independence. For example, where to live, what services may be needed, how to locate service providers, or how to pay for services. One-on-one consultation to help determine which option is best given the consumer's needs, wishes, and available resources. And development of a person-centered plan that lists the consumer's goals and the steps to take to achieve those goals. Lifelong Links provides unbiased, reliable information and counseling to a wide range of consumers, including older Iowans, to help them obtain long-term supports and services in the most desirable and appropriate setting available. Because Lifelong Links is available to older Iowans of all income levels, individuals and caregivers can get the help they need while learning how to utilize their resources wisely, which may delay or prevent a spend-down to Medicaid or premature institutionalization. The Office of Substitute Decision Maker, or OSDM, is established in Iowa Code 231E and strives to enhance the quality of life for Iowans who are not capable of making their own decisions about legal, financial, or healthcare matters. The mission of the Office of Substitute Decision Maker is to preserve individual independence through a person-centered process by providing education, providing assistance to public and private substitute decision makers, when necessary, assisting in substitute decision-making proceedings, and providing substitute decision-making services in the least restrictive manner. In meeting these goals, the OSDM will realize the vision of ensuring the best outcome for every Iowan. Depending on the situation, the OSDM may act as an individual's guardian, conservator, attorney in fact under a healthcare power of attorney document, agent under a financial power of attorney document, personal representative, or representative payee. The OSDM will only be appointed by the court as a substitute decision maker of last resort. To be eligible, an individual must be an Iowa resident who is at least 18 years of age and has no appropriate or responsible person available to serve as a substitute decision maker or is without adequate resources to compensate a substitute decision maker. The OSDM is responsible for assisting individuals in finding alternatives to substitute decision-making services and the least intrusive means of assistance before their rights and independence are limited, intervening in cases where an appointed guardian or conservator is not fulfilling prescribed duties, or when the best interests of the ward require intervention, serving as the substitute decision maker of last resort for Iowans in need, working with various state agencies and the judicial branch to establish a referral system for the provision of services, providing information and referrals to the general public regarding substitute decision-making services, implementing an education and training program for both public and private substitute decision makers, and finalizing an individual's affairs after his or her death when no willing or appropriate person is available. When it comes to making decisions on behalf of Iowans who are not capable of making their own decisions about health care and other personal matters, the OSDM takes a number of factors into consideration, including the individual's wishes. If the individual previously expressed his or her wishes regarding a specific situation, whether in a conversation or through a document such as a living will, the OSDM will consider that information and try to determine what the person would have wanted. The individual's best interests. The OSDM will take a variety of possible solutions into consideration before making decisions on an individual's behalf to ensure the best possible outcomes. This includes taking the person's values and beliefs into consideration, as well as working to improve his or her overall well-being. Input of the individual's caregivers. The OSDM will consult with an individual's healthcare team, family, friends, religious or spiritual leaders, and others to determine the best course of action for the individual. Older Iowans may also receive legal assistance through Iowa Legal Aid and through the Iowa Department on Aging's Legal Hotline for older Iowans. The Iowa Department on Aging's Legal Assistance Program serves individuals aged 60 and older by providing legal advice and representation, information and education, and referrals in civil legal matters throughout the state. The program's role is to identify legal problems and legal service needs of older Iowans and adults with disabilities, with priority given to those who are most vulnerable due to social and/or economic circumstances. To meet this goal, the department works with the 6 area agencies on aging to contract with legal service providers across the state and increase the quantity and quality of legal assistance available to older Iowans and adults with disabilities. The Iowa Legal Assistance Program also provides individual and group technical assistance to legal service projects conducted by the area agencies on aging, legal assistance providers, and others, and provides community outreach to help older Iowans and adults with disabilities understand their rights, exercise choice, and benefit from services and opportunities authorized by law. Common legal problems concern housing, consumer fraud, collection, elder abuse and exploitation, Social Security and SSI, Medicare, Medicaid, discrimination, guardianships, conservatorships, advance directives, wills, and estates. In Iowa, the Office of the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman is authorized by the Federal Older Americans Act and the State Older Iowans Act. Operating as an independent entity within the Department of Aging, its mission is to protect the health, safety, welfare, and rights of individuals residing in long-term care facilities by investigating complaints, seeking resolution to problems, and providing advocacy, with the goal of enhancing quality of life and care. Each year, the Office of the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman protects the rights of over 50,000 Iowans living in Iowa's nursing facilities, residential care facilities, assisted living programs, and elder group homes. Activities include resolving complaints made by or on behalf of residents or tenants of long-term care facilities, educating consumers and long-term care providers about residents' rights and good care practices, promoting community involvement through volunteer opportunities, providing information to the public on nursing facilities and other long-term care facilities, residents' rights and legislative and policy issues, advocating for residents' rights and quality care in nursing facilities, residential care facilities, and assisted living programs, and promoting the development of citizen organizations, family councils, and resident councils. Additional state resources for older Iowans include assistance for victims of crime and suspected fraud or consumer protection, located in the Attorney General's office. Domestic violence, located through the Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence and the Iowa Domestic Violence Helpline. Insurance and securities fraud, located through the Iowa Insurance Division. And assistance with Medicare errors and fraud assistance, located through the Senior Medicare Patrol. Assistance in Dubuque may be found through the Dubuque Police Department and the Dubuque County Sheriff. Remember, as a mandatory reporter, if you suspect abuse is occurring at Stonehill, you are to report it immediately to your supervisor, or, if your supervisor is unavailable, to the Stonehill administrator. If you suspect abuse in the community, report it to the Iowa Department of Human Services. And if you suspect abuse in a long-term care facility or assisted living program that is not Stonehill, report it to the Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals. Suspicions of elder abuse are reported to the state on Form 470-2441. 3 criteria are used for a dependent adult abuse referral. A dependent adult, abuse as defined in Iowa Code 235B, and a caretaker if applicable. Form 470-2441 is divided into 3 separate areas of information. The first area is information about the dependent adult, including the name of the dependent, the telephone number, the birth date, the address, and reasons why the person is defined as a dependent adult. The second area of the form involves information about the abuse. The type of abuse noted, including any physical injury, sexual offense, financial exploitation, unreasonable punishment, or denial of care by the dependent adult him or herself, or denial of care by the caretaker, or unreasonable confinement. The second part of the information is information about suspected abuse, any incidents, previous abuse, persons responsible for abuse, and the name and the address of the guardian. The last section of information reported on the form is information about the caretaker. Please note that this information is omitted if the deprivation occurs by the hands of the dependent adult and not the caretaker. Caretaker information includes name, phone number, address, and reasons why the person is considered the dependent adult's caretaker. Form 470-2441 also includes information about the person reporting the suspected abuse, including their name, position, relationship to the adult, office address, phone number, and names of other mandatory reporters, including the signature of the reporter and the date of the report. The person reporting suspected abuse completes Form 470-2441 and submits it within 48 hours of their suspicion. If a verbal report was accepted, the form is unnecessary. Stonehill has their own procedure that covers the needed information, so we at Stonehill use that procedure in place of this form. Remember, at Stonehill, your supervisor and the Stonehill administrator will complete this report after learning of suspected abuse. Protecting dependent adults begins by understanding resident rights. The resident has the right to be free from sexual, physical, financial, or psychological abuse, corporal punishment, and involuntary seclusion. The resident also has the right to be free from any physical restraints or psychoactive drug administered for purposes of discipline or convenience and not required to treat the resident's medical symptoms. In addition, the resident has the right to be fully informed and given the opportunity to participate in any care plan. The resident has the right to manage his or her personal financial affairs. The resident has the right to be treated with consideration, respect, and full recognition of his or her dignity. The resident has the right to communicate, associate, and meet privately with individuals of his or her choice, unless this infringes on the rights of another resident. The resident has the right to refuse treatment, except in cases of mental illness. If you cannot readily locate residents' rights information required to be posted in the facility, consult with the administrator or your supervisor. The Iowa Direct Care Worker Registry maintains a list of qualified nurse aides who have passed competency tests. A certified long-term care facility may not legally employ any individual as a nurse aide unless that individual is on the registry. Other care facilities and agencies often voluntarily inquire about potential employees as well. In addition, all founded allegations of abuse, neglect, and misappropriation of property by facility staff members are reported to the registry, along with a statement from the individual disputing the findings, if disputed. This is public information, so as long as someone is listed as an abuser on the registry, he or she will not be hired as a direct care worker. For further information about the registry, training and qualification for nurse aides, and how to deal with accusations of abuse, contact your administrator or the Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals. In order to prevent accusations of abuse, it is always a good idea to err on the side of being overly friendly, considerate, gentle, and caring. Beginning on July 1, 1997, and prior to employment of a person in a facility, all facilities must request that the Department of Public Safety perform criminal and dependent adult abuse record checks of the person in this state. In addition, Stonehill is allowed to request that the Department of Human Services perform a child abuse record check in this state. Following law, Stonehill informs all persons prior to employment regarding the records check requirement and obtains a signed acknowledgement of the receipt of the information. Additionally, by law, Stonehill includes the following inquiry in an application for employment: Do you have a record of founded child or dependent adult abuse, or have you ever been convicted of a crime in this state or any other state? In summary, all elders deserve to be respected and treated with dignity. Far too often, though, they are the target of intentional or unintentional abuse. As a mandatory reporter, you have the legal responsibility to report your suspicions of abuse. You make the difference. Congratulations! You have successfully completed the lesson. Now it's time to take the quiz. Click on the button below to continue on with the quiz.